Did I tell you these smart ass? You know, my buddies now at Anheuser-Busch. For my cheers, brother. For my birthday, they sent me 100 cases of Bud Light.
That's beautiful.
Hey, Bud Light, send me a check.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On the latest episode of JRE, Kid Rock made an appearance, bringing the whole Bud Light controversy right back to center stage. And the backlash was wild. After Jamie posted a clip from the full-length episode onto YouTube, the comment section turned hostile almost immediately, and the dislikes are growing by the minute. The flip-flopping in this episode is off the charts. This episode of JRE is sponsored by Bud Light. Well, we had a message sent loud and clear, they must have cut Kid a nice check. This episode reminds me of the sponsorship sellout gag in Wayne's World. Hey, Bud Light, send me a check. And that's what it's all about. This episode brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light cutting checks. Geez, it's like Groundhog Day with this podcast. He got paid. Is this a new Bud Light commercial? So then, what actually happened, and why do so many JRE fans have their knickers in a knot over this? Well, let's start at the beginning.
So what's it like being the dude who took out Bud Light?
Let's get right to it.
Let's get right to it. We were going to bring a few cases in here for you. Switch sunglasses.
I'll drink it. I don't give a shit. Two kinds of beer in this world, cold and free. I like them both.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Were we really drinking Bud Lights?
Let's go.
Watch how much shit I get for this.
Who cares?
Why do you get Bud Lights here, by the way?
Shane.
Did I tell you these smart ass? You know, my buddies now at Anheuser-Busch. For my
cheers,
brother. For my birthday, they sent me 100 cases of Bud Light.
That's beautiful.
So last year, when Bud Light sent out a bunch of custom branded beers to social media influencers, one in particular went viral, and for all the wrong reasons. Kid Rock was so outraged that he gathered up all the Bud Light he could find in his house, which was apparently quite a lot, and made a video of him pumping it with bullets. But now, all of a sudden, he's over it. He was even photographed a few months after the incident drinking a Bud Light at a Colt Ford concert in Nashville, and then in December of last year, he declared finally that he was no longer boycotting Bud Light. But on this episode of JRE, he revealed that he was receiving free product from the company, which the FTC considers to be a partnership, even if you don't receive any money. If you endorse a product through social media, your endorsement message should make it obvious when you have a relationship with the brand. A material connection to the brand includes a personal, family, or employment relationship, or a financial relationship, such as the brand paying you or giving you free or discounted products or services. So, for all intents and purposes, Kid Rock is now a paid sponsor for Bud Light. But it doesn't stop there. He went on to explain that he now has a steady relationship with the executive team of Anheuser-Busch.
I've talked to him about it.
I know you have.
Yeah, you were there at the UFC fight.
Yeah, and I met that dude, the CEO.
Brendan.
He's a good guy, man.
We've become friends.
He's a good guy.
He's a great guy. I'm with Trump there in Dana's green room. I go to Trump, I go, see that dude behind me? I go, that's the CEO of Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch. and Trump's like, you want to go talk to him? Which in my mind, Trump said, you want to go with him? And I'm like, yes. We actually had a great conversation. And at some point, he was telling me how he got the video. And he was actually down in Texas doing some hunting. And I'm like, we talk, and I'm not going to share all our conversation. That'd probably be inappropriate. But I'm like, seem like somebody I'd be friends with, that I'd hang out with. He's like, you would. That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, I'll come to Nashville. Come visit me. He fucking did.
That's awesome.
Came with his top team. We broke bread, got fucked up on Bud Light.
Yeah, that's crazy, and people are not happy about this. I thought I'd never drink Bud Light again, then Dana Light told me all the good things Bud Light does and how much money they gave him, and I still don't drink it. Wild how everyone goes from supporting a boycott to all of a sudden supporting them trying to bring them back. Trump, Dana White, etc. I'm convinced that Bud Light is paying Joe to give them positive PR. It all just seems so forced at this point. He really had Jamie bring out Bud Light for them to drink. Bud CEO played Kid Rock like a fiddle. If the Bud Light team is so relatable, then they should have come out publicly and apologized to their customers instead of throwing money at mouthpieces and proxies to speak for them. So I was hanging with the CEO of Bud Light, and now I've changed my mind. Clearly, Anheuser-Busch were able to get to Kid Rock and get him back on side with some smooth talking and heavy drinking. And as for Rogan, well, it seems like he got caught up in Bud Light's UFC sponsorship as well as his buddy Shane Gillis's new endorsement deal. But people are still raising a valid question. Why is Rogan going so hard in the paint for Bud Light after he couldn't say a good word about them throughout the whole controversy last year? More on that in a little bit, because Kid Rock went on to explain how Anheuser-Busch almost got him to sign a paid partnership deal, but he just couldn't get over the line.
We had a good meeting beforehand, trying to think if there's something I could do with Anheuser-Busch, and I just didn't feel comfortable. I go, we can continue the conversation, see where it ends up, but honestly, I don't want any corporate deals. I don't feel right. There's not a penny on earth that could make me change who I am or have people look at me in a different way.
Right.
You know, even though it's probably half the country at this point that likes me and the other half wants to put a bullet in me.
See, what I find so funny about this whole situation is that Anheuser-Busch weren't able to get Kid Rock to sign on the dotted line, even though he claims not to care what people think, and then clearly realized doing a paid sponsorship would be going too far after what he did and the position that he stood for. But in the end, Bud Light got exactly the endorsement that they wanted without having to pay him a single cent. It looks like all they had to do was pop over to his ranch for a few drinks and then send him a bunch of beer, and that was it.
Hey, Bud Light, send me a check.
They sent you how much beer?
2 pallets, 100 cases.
How much is that worth?
I have no
Probably a
idea.
lot of money.
You want to see confused people? We get done playing pickleball or something for the weekend. I'm like, hey, you guys take a couple cases of Bud Light if you want. And they're like, and they take them in this room and they're stacked and they're like, what the dude? And I'm like, it's a long story, man.
Yeah, nah, it actually isn't a long story. It's pretty simple, really.
Saw you with a Bud Light beanie on. I didn't take you for one of those, but
Brother,
what's
I'm glad
going on
you
there?
asked.
What's going on there?
Bud Light rules. Bud Light's back, dude. We're back.
How's it back?
I'll tell you after.
All right.
All right, that's enough of this.
Are they making a comeback?
They didn't ruin it. They're making a comeback.
Okay, if they're righting the wrongs, we're all right.
They are.
All
They're
right.
doing the right thing.
All right, okay.
Yep.
I'll wait for that moment to support them.
All
Yeah,
right.
that was like high level corporate warfare stuff that not a lot of people understand.
Right now, I'm with Kid Rock. I'm out here with AKs. Just
I got bad news for you. Kid Rock still sips the Bud Lights, dude.
does he?
Yeah. He's a closeted Bud Light man.
You know what?
I've seen pictures of him.
You
He
know
feeds
what?
on him like a vampire.
He does.
dude,
He
at
goes
night.
back to his room. And
As
he
long as the
picks
people,
up the scraps,
as long
goes
as the
upstairs
people
tomorrow.
don't know, but you just told them so.
So like I was saying, it's a pretty simple story. Kid Rock saw an opportunity to have a bit of fun and troll Bud Light, and then he realized how big the backlash had become and how much influence he had over his audience, and started backpedaling like Lance Armstrong. Oh, and there was also a bit of re-education involved.
It's a great company.
Right. And
They've
I'm like,
done amazing things. Anheuser-Busch is an amazing charitable company that they do a lot of great things.
yeah, and I dug into that and I was educated on it. Even before Dana called me about his deal and things like that, people discussed with me. I did a little digging and talked to people. I'm not someone who holds a grudge his whole life. You know what I mean? And honest to God, I was having a lot of fun. I don't get to pull my machine gun out and film myself doing cool shit too often. I'm just not that type of person. Man, I was just having fun, to be honest with you. I mean, I was pissed. But
Yeah.
it wasn't like it was going to wreck my day, let alone my life. I was just kind of like, what the f*** are they doing?
But
Like,
you
this is
were the
too
straw
fun.
that broke the camel's back.
I became the face of it, yes.
Yeah. Now listen, man, when you got so upset that you were machine
Throwing
gunning,
a tantrum with a machine gun.
you machine gun cases
They want
of
to
Bud Light,
They want to let guys play girls sports.
that was the end.
Okay. For me, this is the best part, because like all my regulars know, there is nothing that I enjoy more than a bit of the old-fashioned hypocrisy. It gets me every time. Let me lay this out for you. We just heard Kid Rock flip-flopping around by saying I was just trolling, I was just having a laugh, I wasn't being that serious, but yeah, there are still some serious issues here, but all in all, I didn't intend for it to get so out of hand and make their share price plummet or anything like that. And if that's not confusing enough for you guys, wait until you see how they both started blaming the internet for what happened to Bud Light. This is a classic. Make sure you're not drinking anything because you're probably going to spit it out.
I wish people knew these guys running the company because they're great f***ing guys. But I said, I said, there's just a percentage of these trolls on the left and on the right. They're like, I'm so empowered by the internet. I have a voice. It's like, go yourself. All right, cut it out. Like, if anyone's still spending time on this, you clearly are bored. Find something better to do.
Yeah, it's definitely the pursuit of losers. But the problem is those losers can actually affect businesses. And that's what they know. They know now that it's possible.
Bro, you guys did it. You were the ones trolling Bud Light at every opportunity, whether it was Rogan on JRE running his mouth about how much they messed up and misread their audience, or Kid Rock literally shooting cases of Bud Light on video, apparently just for fun because he was bored. Except now it's the internet's fault for the backlash, not theirs. And so the comment section did not let this slide. Guys, they're an amazing charitable company. Kid Rock. These internet trolls think they have a voice. Also, Kid Rock, I'm going to post a video of me shooting Bud Light on the internet. They literally called you all losers and then flip-flopped in your face. These two do better mental gymnastics than some of the best politicians I've ever seen. Rock's values go right out the window when he's offered free beer and money. Or maybe just free beer, huh? It's definitely a pursuit of losers, but the problem is those losers can affect businesses. Joe Rogan, that's what he thinks about the average guy. It's like Kid Rock and Joe don't understand their influence on millions of people. This is so stupid, says the people who got paid by Anheuser-Busch. Wow, I'll tell you what, it looks like Anheuser-Busch's CEO did a real number on Kid Rock. Talk about re-education. Listen to his newfound realization about the damage the backlash has caused to so many hard-working Americans. Honestly, this is Olympic-level gymnastics.
You know what the worst part about it was? Is people were like, people losing their jobs. And I was like, no, people's livelihoods. I knew people who drove truck for big Bud Light trucks, this, that, and the other, and their livelihoods were crushed.
Yeah, I was reading about this one bar owner who had to stop carrying Bud Light because when people would buy it, other people would get aggressive with them.
And by the way, I'm not into boycotts and cancel culture. Like sending someone a message, okay, or when they're targeting our children like that. Like, there's a fine line there, but ultimately, I'm not into cancel culture.
At this point, I'm wondering what they've got on him. Either that or his obedience only cost a couple of pallets of beer. Like I said before, the hypocrisy of these guys going so hard in the paint on Bud Light last year, only to flip-flop and start endorsing them after a couple of conversations with their management team, it just reeks of elitism. I spoke about this in my previous video when I criticized Rogan for talking down to people on lower incomes and even homeless people too, where he goes on these long rants about how their opinions are invalid, how they shouldn't be taken seriously until they get their lives back together. And it's not just homeless people he's talking about. He just generally views people who are less fortunate and live month to month as losers who are too lazy to go and get money. But when it comes to his buddies earning money, whether it's the UFC or Shane Gillis, or even Kid Rock it seems, he's all for forgiveness and second chances and all that warm and fuzzy stuff. Now, for me personally, I don't have a dog in this fight. I couldn't care less who Bud Light endorses or has a partnership with. What annoys me, though, is how guys like Rogan just pick and choose which narrative they want to go with, depending on the way the wind's blowing, and then start calling everyone else out for being stupid, or being bored, or just generally disagreeing with his official position. This is the guy who supposedly reinvented the media landscape through having long-form conversations with people he simply found interesting, free from all the corporate strings that are attached to mainstream media. But time and time again, he proves that he's no different. He's bought and paid for just the same. So if you didn't get the message, it's okay to drink Bud Light again because Rogan and Kid Rock met the CEO and think he's a cool guy. It's as simple as that. And the worst part is, I don't think Anheuser-Busch had to spend a cent to get them both on side. Just a nod and a wink and a handshake. You know what they say, the best things in life are free. Anyway, that's my breakdown of Kid Rock's appearance on JRE. I hope you enjoyed it. Big shout out to my regulars. You guys are the best. You're always turning up for me time and time again. But if you haven't subscribed yet, consider jumping on board so you get all my uploads right there in your feed. That's it from me. I'll catch you in the next one.
Sounds like stoner talk.
It is. It is stoner talk. Most of my conversations are stoner talk, like high level.